If medieval kingdoms wanted trade to move faster, why did they build roads that bent, curved and twisted like coiled snakes across the landscape? Why not carve straight lines from castle to coast, from farm to market? Here is the paradox. Those winding roads were not accidents of poor engineering. They were deliberate shields for ancient commerce. Imagine riding a cart loaded with wool or salt, watching the road ahead veer unexpectedly toward a hilltop fortress or dip into a narrow valley. You might think the builders were lost, but they were guiding you through a carefully designed web of protection. In places like Canterbury, roads curved to pass beneath watchful towers before reaching the cathedral gates. In regions shaped by old Roman routes, such as the Via Appia, medieval planners sometimes redirected traffic away from exposed straightaways into controlled corridors. These bends slowed armies, exposed ambushes, and forced merchants into tax-guarded spaces. The twist of a road was a silent contract, safety in exchange for oversight, protection in exchange for loyalty. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe inherited a network of impressively straight highways, engineered for legions and imperial speed. But as centralized authority fractured, those straight lines became vulnerabilities. Open roads meant open invasion. Kingdoms like those centered around Paris and Cologne faced constant threats from rival lords and roaming bandits. Trade still flowed, especially through alliances such as the Hanseatic League, but the political landscape had changed. Instead of one empire maintaining security, dozens of small powers guarded their own borders. So roads evolved. Rather than cutting directly across plains, they curved toward fortified towns, monasteries and river crossings controlled by loyal authorities. Tolls funded patrols, checkpoints doubled as customs stations. Even pilgrimage routes, like the Camino de Santiago, followed paths that passed through protected settlements. These routes appear inefficient on a map. Yet on the ground, they maximize surveillance and community defense. Twists were strategic pauses, subtle reminders that commerce moved under watchful eyes. In a fragmented world, bending the road meant strengthening the kingdom. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. So, how exactly did twisting a road protect commerce? Picture the planning process. First, survey the terrain. You identify natural choke points such as river fords, ridgelines, or forest edges. Instead of bypassing them, you route the road directly through them, because choke points are easier to defend. Next, you design curves near elevated ground, where a watchtower or castle commands visibility. A straight road allows enemies to build momentum. A curved approach forces slower movement, exposing travelers to archers positioned above. You know how modern highways use ramps to control speed. Medieval engineers did something similar, but with earth and stone. They layered gravel and compacted soil in arcs rather than lines, ensuring carts naturally reduced pace as wheels adjusted to the bend. Then come the settlements. Roads were guided deliberately through market towns so that merchants could not avoid tolls. Defensive walls narrowed entrances, creating funnel points where guards inspected goods. Even bridges were angled slightly, preventing a direct cavalry charge. Step by step, the landscape became an ally. The twist concealed distance, controlled traffic, and transformed geography into armor. What looks inefficient today was once an invisible shield wrapped around trade. At first glance, winding medieval roads seem like relics of a less advanced era. But think about modern security design. Airports rarely allow straight access from entrance to aircraft. Data networks use layered routing rather than direct exposure. Even urban neighborhoods employ traffic calming curves to slow vehicles and protect pedestrians. The principle is the same. Controlled inefficiency creates resilience. By forcing movement through supervised nodes, medieval kingdoms ensured accountability and rapid response to threats. In disaster planning today, routing supply chains through secure hubs mirrors that logic. Distribution centers function like fortified towns, concentrating oversight before goods disperse. There is also a psychological lesson. When travelers see visible protection such as towers, walls, checkpoints, trust increases. In digital commerce, visible encryption badges and verified identities serve the same role once played by castle silhouettes on the horizon. The medieval road teaches us that speed is not always the ultimate goal. Stability often matters more. By bending the path, you shape behavior, reduce risk, and create predictable flows. Sometimes the safest route is not the shortest one, but the most intelligently guarded. The twisting roads of medieval kingdoms were never signs of ignorance. They were lines of quiet strategy drawn across hills and valleys. Each curve carried intention. Each detour passed beneath protection. Ancient commerce survived not because it moved fastest, but because it moved wisely. Imagine the merchant at dusk, wheels creaking, seeing torchlight flicker along a castle wall as the road bends gently towards safety. That bend was reassurance. It meant oversight, taxation, and yes, control, but also survival in uncertain times. Over centuries, as nations centralized and threats changed, many of these defensive curves were straightened, paved over, forgotten. Yet their logic remains embedded in our infrastructure and even in our digital highways. We still design systems that guide traffic through secure nodes. We still trade a little speed for a lot of stability. The next time you trace a winding country road on a map, consider that it may once have been a lifeline, a protective artery sustaining entire economies. History whispers through those bends, reminding us that protection and prosperity often travel the same road. If this journey through hidden design reshaped how you see the past, keep exploring, because every path has a story waiting to be uncovered. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned